And we're off. Welcome back to the Functional Retirement Podcast, where we get technical about your wealth, philosophical about your purpose, and inspirational on your fitness. I'm your host, Thatcher Taylor, certified financial planner and owner of the retirement planning firm ProPath Financial. And today we're going to find out whether or not taking Social Security early is crazy. And by early, I mean age 62. So let's just assume, holding everything constant, no other unique circumstances, you can take your Social Security at age 62. But we got to find out whether or not that's crazy. And the crystal ball comes into play. We're only going to know if it was really crazy if you ended up living a long time. But we're going to discuss the more technical aspects of whether or not you're crazy for taking Social Security early, whether it's better to wait, and how we can do all this efficiently using some actual research and data. So let's get into it. So before we continue, propathfinancial.com/post/social security early. PROPATH financial.com/posts/social security early. You're going to get to see the video, the audio if you want to listen to the podcast version, or if you're already listening now, but also there's the supplemental article that's going to follow if you want to read about this as well, and the links to some the resources that I've referenced here today. So Social Security benefits benefit people who live long and who can wait. So those are two big key elements: who can live long and who can wait. So living long, obviously, that's one reason why I talk a lot about health and wellness. Health and wellness is an investment in your retirement plan. There's no way to debate it. There's no two ways about it. It applies to every decision that we make on our retirement planning journey, and Social Security is no different. And those who can wait. So some people, which we're going to talk about, have to take Social Security. So it benefits people to wait and to live longer, but the ones that can wait are the ones that have accumulated enough assets. So let's first go over a couple reasons why people will take their benefits early. That's what we got to figure out. So what are we going to do about people that are really inclined to want to take their benefits early? A couple statistics. Over 40% of both men and women took their Social Security benefit between ages 62 and 64. 40%. So almost half of you are going to take it between 62 and 64. Around 15% of people who take Social Security take it at their full retirement age, which for the majority of listeners is going to be age 67, maybe 66 in 10 months, but 67. And around 10% of people took it at age 70. So why would you take your benefit so early between age 62 and 64? Well, there are three main reasons that you would take your Social Security benefit at age 62. One, you financially need it. So I'm talking to a large group of people right now. Some of you have a lot of money, some of you may not, and you're just on your wealth building journey. So the first reason that you would take Social Security is that you need it. You haven't accumulated enough for whatever reason, and you need the income. You got to have the consistency, which is fine. That's going to be the main reason you got to take your Social Security, because you really, really, really need it. The second reason is you believe your health to be in really bad shape, and making it to your late 70s or 80s is unlikely, but we're going to come back to this. But number two is you believe your health to be in really bad shape and you're not going to last very long, and so you got to take it. So you want to take it and you want to get on it right away. You don't want it to waste, because if you think you're going to pass away at 70 and you wait to 67, you're only getting 3 years of your benefit. So that's the second reason, but we'll dive in deeper to that. And the third reason is you're scared of Social Security not being there, and or you want what is yours. So we're going to dissect this a little bit too. And this is most likely a knowledge problem, and probably circles back to number one, that for some reason you really think that you need it. You need it right now. Really quickly, I should mention that I am accepting new clients. So if you are curious about your retirement planning journey, whether you're doing the right thing, you're unhappy with your advisor, you haven't even talked about Social Security, which I'm noticing a lot of advisors, they don't even talk about a lot of these elements in their retirement planning journey. They just want to deal with your assets, which are important, don't get me wrong, but there's a whole other set of things that we need to address when it comes to a good retirement planning situation. So I am open to new clients. If you're over the age of 50, you need some help, reach out to me. Before we continue, we have to know what you're missing when it comes to taking Social Security early. And it all comes down to the break-even point. Let's say the break-even point is age 80. If you take your Social Security early before at age 62 and you pass away before age 80, you most likely have maximized your Social Security benefit. But we don't know when you're going to pass away. And most people are pessimists and they're always going to say something along the lines of, yeah, I'm going to pass away early. When in all actuality, you probably live longer. But age 80 is the break even. If you live past age 80, taking at age 62 and not waiting was a substantial mistake, because waiting gives you a larger guaranteed income with cost of living adjustments. The benefit that you receive at age 67 is your full retirement benefit based on your historical earnings. If you take your benefit at 62, you're only getting 70% of that. You're only getting 70% of the money that's due to you if you just wait to age 67. If you wait to age 70, you're actually getting 124% of your full retirement benefit, because every year past age 67, the 3 years gets 8% per year, an additional 24%. Waiting to age 70 in most cases, I should say in most cases, in a lot of cases is optimal, because most people live longer than they think, especially with modern medicine. And you're going to maximize how much Social Security you're going to receive by literally tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars. So that's the reason why this matters. If you take your benefit early and you pass away early, it made sense. But that's a really pessimistic way to view this. So unless you absolutely need the money, we're going to circle back to, or we're going to dive deeper into how this all works and why this all shakes out. The Social Security Administration is really smart. They have this dialed down. They know exactly what they're doing. They're very, very detailed and specific on how this all shakes out. So we're trying to figure out how you can maximize it, and if you're crazy to take it early. All right, so let's go to a little research. There are people in this world that are smarter than me. I'm not going to deny that. But specifically in certain areas, they're smarter than me because they do a lot of the research. I don't have time. I work with clients on a regular basis. I'm working through retirement plans all day, every day. So I don't have time to build really elaborate research projects into a lot of this stuff. So we use the resource we have. And one of them is the Center for Retirement Research at Boston College. They put an article out in January 25th. So recently, the psychology behind starting Social Security at 62, the psychology of it. So I'm going to link this article. You can read through it. It's phenomenal, but there's a couple excerpts that I want to take from here. They broke out the reasons a little bit more cleanly than I did. One reason, and I quote from the article, one reason that that retirees take their Social Security early is that, quote, workers, after years of payroll taxes being deducted from their paychecks, feel a sense of ownership about their future benefits, and they're eager to claim what is theirs. The individuals in the study who said in an online survey that they intend to start Social Security on the earlier side expressed a strong feeling of ownership, agreeing with the statement that they had earned these retirement benefits. That's the first portion. That's the first main reason, is you take it early because you feel like they've earned it. I'm not going to throw anybody that I know too far into the bus, but this was my old man. This is my dad. This is what he did. He felt he wanted to take it. It was his. But you missed the boat. This is what Social Security wants. They want you to take yours. They want you to take the reduced benefit because you lock in a smaller amount, and all that money that you give up, 30%, based off your full retirement benefit, that 30% that you give up to lock in your benefit early, that goes to others, the individuals that wait a little bit longer, that maximize Social Security. So that's the trade-off. You take it early, but what is yours is potentially what you'll get, but you're missing the whole other side of it. You're missing the maximization. The maximization of Social Security is being able to take out more than what you thought you would get. That's what happens when you live longer and you wait on your benefit. You get a bigger amount. That's the kicker. The next reason from the article is people sign up sooner because of the natural human aversion to losing, which the survey gauged by asking the participants to choose what type of gamble they would be willing to take. They were considered to be more loss averse if they chose a gamble that would have a high probability of either a $400 gain or a $400 loss, over the riskier gamble in which they could either win $800 or risk a larger $600 loss. That's the gamble. That's the break even. So people take their Social Security benefit early. They're pessimists. They think that they're going to pass away earlier. And so they take the earlier benefit to think that what they get there is they want to get it now. They don't want the potential quote unquote loss. So they're going to take the $400 gain for over a $400 loss. Or you could either win $800 or a $600 loss. That would be waiting, taking the bigger benefit, and potentially passing away before that break-even point. But if you live longer, you make substantially more. And I mentioned that earlier in the podcast. And the third reason, which is a fancier reason, which is a reason that I came up with, is outside of the research, is there are some people that want to get real crazy where they don't need their Social Security benefit. They've done a good job accumulating and earning and saving and investing, and they don't need their Social Security benefit. So what they do is they think about passing along their estate to their family or their heirs. So they'll take their Social Security benefit early and they'll invest it along the way. They'll just take their $1,500, $2,000, $1,600, $2,200, whatever their benefit is, and they'll just invest it every single solitary month. And over the course of 30 years, that can accumulate to a pretty substantial sum of money that could pass to heirs. Now, I'm not recommending this. This isn't a good idea for everyone because there are some other things by taking your Social Security benefit early that come into play, like taxation and reduction of benefits, and it pulls in your benefits become reduced by pulling in additional earnings or income from other sources. So there's some other things that come into play along the way, but this has been done. I have seen it. We have optimized in the particular case. So that would be the third reason to take it early. But most people, they want to use their Social Security benefit in some capacity. Now, we're going to dive deeper into the psychology of all this. And I've mentioned a couple of times, I've dropped some Easter eggs along the way, and that is pessimism versus optimism. Pessimism versus optimism. It is not uncommon for people with positive outlooks to end up with more. It's not uncommon to be an optimist and you end up living longer and you end up with more assets. It's usually the pessimists, people that are very negative on their life and their outlook, that end up with a little bit less. In retirement planning, it's not an exception. It's a part of the rule. People with a tendency to delay benefits think that they're going to live longer. Optimists. In an example, and this came from an article, one group saw a chart that listed how much a hypothetical worker could expect in his monthly Social Security check, ranging from $1,339 at age 62 to $2,395 at age 70. So I'll just say the numbers again, just so we're clear. $1,339 at age 62 to $2,395 at age 70, an additional $1,000 a month. A second group, that was group one, a second group chart totaled up the lifetime benefits. The retiree who signed up for the $1,339 check at 62 would accumulate a total of $353,000 in benefits if he lived to age 85. So $1,339 at 62 gets you $353,000 at age 85. But if he waited until 70, the $2,395 benefits paid every month would add up to $402,000 at age 85. So if you waited, you actually end up with more money. The pessimists looked at those numbers and saw completely different things. People, the group that saw the larger lifetime totals, the bigger number, the $402,000, said they would claim their benefits much earlier. The reason that they were put off by the larger amount comes back to the psychological phenomenon of loss aversion. We talked about that a second ago when we talked about the gamble. Seeing the larger dollar figure apparently exacerbated their fear of loss. But the way I look at it is they looked at, okay, if I took it at age 62 and to age 85, I get $353,000. But if I waited to age 70 and at age 85, I got $402,000, that's only 50 grand more. That's not a ton more up to that point. So it's not worth it. It's not worth it to potentially pass away early and get substantially less and have to wait not to get to maximize my benefit. That's the loss aversion. But that's just up to age 85. What if you lived a year longer? These numbers get even bigger and bigger and bigger. This doesn't include in total, I don't think, cost of living adjustments. When you have a bigger number and you get a 2, 3, 4, 5% cost of living adjustment, your increase, your bonus each year, your pay increase is bigger off a bigger amount. That's another piece of waiting to age 70. So what can you do if you are thinking about waiting? So here's what's going to happen. First, we've kind of figured out, we went over the 3 reasons about whether or not you're going to take it at 62, why you would do that. You want it right away. You need it for your health. You're scared to lose it, whatever the reason is. We've kind of talked about those. But if you're thinking about waiting, what can you do? If you're going to wait, the first thing you may do is you're going to work longer. It's not ideal, but delaying Social Security could add thousands in extra lifetime income without actually needing to save. So here's what I mean. If you work longer, your Social Security benefit is based off your highest earning 35 years. If you work longer and you make substantial amounts of money, you're going to drop off some of the smaller years and it's going to help increase your benefit. So you're working, you're generating enough income to survive, but you're also increasing your benefit. So not only is your benefit going to be bigger at 67, but because you're adding bigger years of income on your highest 35 earning years, you're naturally just building a bigger benefit. So it's not optimal to want to work, but some people have to, but it's not a downside. Just make sure through those working years, you're working on your health and fitness. Let me just throw that in there. That, again, we nailed that one down. That plays a huge role in all this. The next thing you can do if you're planning on waiting, but you don't want to work, is you can use already accumulated assets like 401ks, IRAs, and taxable accounts, which this isn't a terrible thing either. Although you're going to draw down some assets from 62 to 67, 5 years, by delaying, like we saw here, you're going to make up a lot of that when you guarantee your income with a larger Social Security benefit. Neither of these are terrible options. And to help confirm a lot of the decisions, doing a Social Security analysis can help. So if you want a Social Security analysis, I can help you do that. You can do that at some places online, but propathfinancial.com, click the Get Started button, and I'll do a free Social Security analysis. Just let me know, give me some Social Security statements, and I can help clean that up for you. But Social Security is a very unique element in our retirement planning journey. Whether or not it's going to be in there in the future seems unlikely that it's going away completely. There could be a reduction in benefits, but there may be some adjustments. There's an entire report, the trustees report, that talks about this and all the different options. There are a ton of options that they can make with adjustments. But I want to add this in there. I think this is really interesting, and it drives me up the wall. It drives me up the wall about this little mistake that the Social Security Administration made. And I'm going to end on this. I'm going to leave this in your mind. All of the money that pays into Social Security. So you make your money, your earnings, you pay in your portion of your Social Security, your FICA. 6.2% essentially is the Social Security amount. Then you have your Medicare portion. But 6.2% is your portion that gets paid into Social Security, and then your employer puts in a portion as well. All that money, the billions of dollars that are coming in, those are all being invested in U.S. government securities, U.S. government treasuries, bonds, very quote unquote safe and secure. All these years that money's been going in, they've been going into these very low interest-bearing securities to protect principal. And you know what that did in the long run? Is there wasn't enough growth to combat inflation and the cost of goods. And now the trustee account, the trust, the funds that we all get our Social Security from in the future is depleting, diminishing. We're all adding more to it. We're dumping billions of dollars in every single year. But the amount that comes out is more substantial. People are living longer. There's not enough money going in. And where it's sitting is not getting enough earnings. The thing that drives me up the wall is if they'd have put 30 or 40% of it in a diversified portfolio of equities, just the total stock market index, S&P 500, holding thousands and thousands of all the different securities, this wouldn't even be a problem. It would have earned enough to combat inflation. This goes back to people, the creators of this were so scared of the market and long-term earnings and short-term volatility that they missed out on long-term opportunity, and now we're in a bind. This is retirement planning in a nutshell. That if you're in too much cash because you're scared of some volatility along the way, you're missing out on the long-term freedom and flexibility in your retirement plan. That's the same thing with Social Security. They made that mistake. It drives me up the wall. And as we've seen the past 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 years in a diversified portfolio, the growth has been substantial if you can plan around any of the risks of the short-term volatility in the marketplace. That's just me getting on my soapbox to end this podcast. I appreciate everyone listening. I should mention, I've been getting a lot of people reaching out lately, so thank you for doing that. I should mention, if you need retirement planning help, my doors are open. I am accepting new clients. So if you're over the age of 50, got about $1 million and you're coming into retirement, you need some help, you don't want to do this anymore, maybe you got a good understanding, but you just don't have the time and this isn't something you want to deal with, that's where I come into play. I'm happy to help as a fiduciary fee-only financial planner. ProPathFinancial.com. Click the Get Started button, fill out the form. I'll reach out to you directly. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.